This is a radiolabeling training for yttrium-90 clivatuzumab tetraxetant. This presentation is for demonstration purposes only. Some key introductory points are the following. Radiolabeling must be performed within an ISO Class 5 PEC with radiation shielding. ALARA and aseptic technique should always be maintained. Radiolabeling shall only be performed by qualified pharmacists who have been properly trained and documented this training. The yttrium-90 clivatuzumab tetraxetan radiolabeling worksheet shall be completed concurrently with this procedure. Yttrium-90 clivatuzumab tetraxetan currently has a beyond use expiration of 31 hours post-compounding. Only high-purity yttrium-90 chloride provided by authorized vendors shall be used. Each radiolabeling kit has 3 color-coded caps. The clivatuzumab tetraxetan vial has a yellow cap, the DTPA vial has a white cap, and the ammonium acetate vial has an orange cap. Exposure to hand should always be minimized by reducing direct exposure time, maximizing distance between hands and source, working with adequately shielded source vials and syringes. When adding clivatuzumab tetraxetan to the yttrium-90 chloride vial, add moderately down the side of the angled vial to prevent foaming. Used radioactive syringes and other disposables should be immediately discarded. And finally, prepared doses should be capped with a luer lock tip. Step 1. Bringing kit contents to room temperature. Remove clivatuzumab tetraxetan kit from refrigeration at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade and allow approximately 30 minutes for reagents to reach room temperature. All drug transactions must be properly documented on drug accountability forms. Step 2. Heating block setup. With the aluminum block in the heater and the temperature probe in the designated probe hole, place the shielding cap on the aluminum block. Turn on the block heater by pressing the on-off button on the right. Set the digital temperature to 45 degrees centigrade by incrementing the arrow buttons on the left, and then start the heating function by pressing the on-off button. Allow the temperature to equilibrate for approximately 30 minutes at 45 degrees centigrade. If needed, adjust the temperature of the block accordingly and again allow equilibration for 30 minutes after each adjustment. Remember again that the temperature of the reaction vial will always be measured by the temperature probe and not the heating block temperature readout. While waiting for the temperature of the heating block to equilibrate, one can also assay the yttrium-90 activity to be used in the radiolabeling procedure. Step 3. Buffering the yttrium-90. Uncap the Immunomedics 2.5 molar ammonium acetate pH 5.5 vial and sterilize the septum. Using a hubless syringe tip, withdraw 0.1 ml and temporarily cap. Next, sterilize the yttrium-90 reaction vial septum. Add the 0.1 ml buffer at an angle to minimize direct exposure to the fingers and hand from the unshielded vial top. Once done, gently invert this reaction vial several times to evenly mix the solution. Step 4. Adding the clivatuzumab tetraxetan to the yttrium-90 chloride vial. Begin by sterilizing the clivatuzumab tetraxetan DOTA septum. Withdraw 1 ml or 10 milligrams of clivatuzumab tetraxetan DOTA and temporarily cap. Again, sterilize the Yttrium 90 vendor supplied vial septum. Then, carefully add the clivatuzumab tektraxetan DOTA by moderately injecting down the inside of the vial to prevent foaming. This should also be done at an angle to minimize direct exposure to fingers and hand. Once completed, gently invert the Yttrium 90 reaction vial to mix the contents. Step 5. Incubating the reaction vial. Remove the Yttrium 90 reaction vial from the shielding and place into the appropriately sized hole of the aluminum heating block, allowing for minimal airspace. The smaller holes are to be used for the Perknor-Elmer Yttrium 90 vial, while the larger holes are to be used for the Eckert and Ziegler Yttrium 90 vial. Cap the reaction vial and check that the temperature is at 45 degrees centigrade. Incubate for exactly 15 minutes at 45 plus or minus 2 degrees centigrade. Do not add water into the holes in the aluminum block. Step 6. Adding DTPA to the incubated reaction vial. At the end of the 15-minute incubation, remove the Yttrium 90 radio-labeled clivatuzumab tektraxetan reaction vial from the heating block. Next, transfer to the hood and uncap the DTPA vial. Sterilize the septum. Using a hubless needle syringe tip, withdraw 0.2 ml of DTPA and temporarily cap. Next, sterilize the radio-labeled reaction vial septum. Slowly add the 0.2 ml of 0.1 molar DTPA at an angle. The DTPA is added in order to bind with any remaining free yttrium. Swirl and invert gently several times. Finally, withdraw a small sample of radio-labeled Yttrium 90 clivatuzumab tektraxetan for ITLC quality control testing. Step 7. Performing radiochemical analysis and evaluating the results. Prepare a chromatography chamber by adding 0.5 to 0.8 ml of normal saline solution as a solvent. Next, spot approximately 1 drop of radio-labeled Yttrium 90 clivatuzumab tektraxetan onto the bottom line of the ITLC strip. Immediately place the chromatography strip into the solvent vial and allow the solvent front to migrate to the top solid front line. Note that this step usually requires about 1 minute. Remove the chromatography strip and cut the strip at the central line producing section 1 and 2. To ensure the same counting geometry, further cut section 1 into 2 equal strips of approximately the same length. Place these sections into counting vials. Count the background and each chromatography strip section in a gamma scintillation counter for 60 seconds. Using an open window set for yttrium-90 Bremsstrahlung radiation. The percentage bound radionuclide is equal to the net counts in section 1 divided by the sum of the net counts in section 1 plus the net counts in section 2 multiplied by 100. This result must be greater to or equal than 90% for an acceptable QC result. Step 8. Withdrawing the prescribed radio-labeled dose. Begin by sterilizing the septums of a saline vial and the final radio-labeled clavatuzumab tetraxetan reaction vial. Next, insert the 10 ml dose syringe into a syringe shield and withdraw the prescribed radio-labeled activity of yttrium-90 clavatuzumab tetraxetan. Then, bring the volume up to 8 ml using the saline solution. Next, attach a luer lock tip. Finally, assay and check the prescribed dose in a dose calibrator set for yttrium-90 calibrated for a 10 ml syringe with an 8 ml volume. Step 9. Preparing the yttrium-90 counting standard. Begin with two 10 ml vials pre-labeled as yttrium-90 dilution vial number 1 and yttrium-90 counting standard. First, pre-fill dilution vial number 1 with 9.9 ml of saline. Then, pre-fill the yttrium-90 counting standard vial with 9.0 ml of saline solution. Now, withdraw 0.1 ml from the final yttrium-90 reaction vial using a hubless syringe tip needle and add to dilution vial number 1. Gently swirl to evenly mix. Then, withdraw 1.0 ml from the dilution vial number 1 and add to the yttrium-90 counting standard. Gently swirl to evenly mix. The following are frequently asked questions and answers as well as comments. Please pause the clip at any point to carefully review. For updated and additional information, please refer to the study manual.